Hey team, welcome to another Film Friend Fridays. Today on the show we have Jed Sprague, and he has some incredible beach time photography up in Northern California around the Bay Area. Dude, he takes awesome shots. His colors are on point. He's using a Leica camera. It's pretty cool. So here's my interview with Jed, and I hope you enjoy it. All right. Hey, Jed, how's it going?
Good. Will, how are you doing?
Good, man. Well, thanks for joining me on Film Friend Fridays.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. Been following what you do, and I think it's been great, and I really appreciate you, reaching out and having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you've been tagging the Film Friend Fridays tag, and I before we got on the call, I was saying like I'm obsessed with your work, dude. It's so good, Dude, you're getting like incredible lighting. You're getting just these incredible locations. You got to walk us through that in a little bit, but tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So, I guess from a photography standpoint, it's relatively new, 2 years. I've always loved taking pictures. I've always loved images. I'm a huge fan of like movies and film, and had a couple of friends that were photographers that, told me to, pick it up. And they're like, hey, if you have any interest in it, pick it up. And pretty quickly kind of navigated towards film photography. I love old things. I play music as well. So I've always loved like vintage guitars and amps. And I love the way like kind of like old things and like working through that process. And it's really rewarding. And so film was kind of an obvious step for me in my photography journey.
That's awesome that you say that, like that old amp quality for sure. I'm a musician too, and I play electric guitar, and I love that.
Yeah.
That old vintage amp or that old vintage guitar that just kind of takes you back to that period. And like, you just feel it, when you're holding it.
Yeah. There's soul. There's like, you hold the thing and you become inspired. And really that's all anyone is chasing after, right? Is inspiration. And, I think to the extent that, the gear that you're using matters is just how much it inspires you to go out and shoot and, kind of get into that process.
That's so true. Yeah. If you don't have something that's inspiring you, then your camera is going to just sit on the side, or your guitar even like will just sit on the side and catch dust. And yeah, I totally agree with that. Definitely like in medium format recently, like just picking up, I've got a 645, but I've got a 6x6 that like when I look through the viewfinder, it just inspires me to go out with it, Yeah.
It just like I understand the same thing. I totally get that. Like 6x6, like you look at it and excites you about photography again. You think about all the possibilities, all the things that you can capture through that lens. So I totally understand that.
Yeah. Where are you located? We were talking briefly, but where exactly?
Yeah. So I'm just outside of San Francisco, a little suburb called Walnut Creek, kind of Bay Area, been a Bay Area native most of my life, kind of grew up, bouncing around the country, been a lot of places, been fortunate to see a lot of things, but family's always kind of had a home in the greater Bay Area. So
cool. Yeah. We have some friends' family that lives up in Walnut Creek.
Oh, awesome.
Seems like a cool place to be.
Yeah. It's nice and relaxed, honestly. Other than, the fires lately have been crazy.
Yeah, the smoke's been awful for sure. Well, what are you shooting on? What's your jam these days?
Yeah, so 95% of what I shoot is all on a Leica M4.
Oh, wow.
So I've experimented a little bit with medium format 6x6. I have like a Yashica 124. But to be honest, my Leica M4 is just my tried and true. I know exactly what I'm going to get. I actually think, like going to a rangefinder really like changed the way I look at photography. For some reason, just rangefinders really suit, my eye for composition. And I don't know if it's because I have another eye free, or like, you're not actually looking through the lens, but you have a really clear picture of what the actual, what's going to be in frame. I don't know exactly what it is about it, but I'm so much more confident framing compositions with a rangefinder. And I also just love the quickness of it. I love the ability to, grab and go, and Leicas are obviously a thing in themselves, just like, talking about guitars, and they're kind of like, to me, they're like Martins, like I love old acoustic Martins, and that's what Leicas are to me. Like I hold one and I'm like, I just want to go out and shoot.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really interesting that you say that. Because I have a friend that he's thinking about getting into the film world. He actually picked up a 645, the same one I have, the Mamiya one. And he found it for stupid cheap. And I was like, dude, you need to buy that.
Yeah.
If you're interested in it. And then, I was telling him a camera that I had my eye on, which was the Canon P, which is kind of like a Leica-like Canon camera. And, he's had his eye on a Leica film camera. And he's kind of more high end. Like he enjoys like Duesenbergs and like really high end electric guitars. Yeah. And so like he was gravitating towards this more high end thing, and I was like, no, I mean, price wise, I don't think you need it. But then the quality of it, like he's such a quality person that I could feel like maybe that is the right camera for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard. Like obviously it's not expensive things are great. But I really like when I hold the Leica, like I don't feel, like I know it's a Leica, and, it was expensive, especially, for a film camera. But it wasn't crazy. The M4s are a little bit, cheaper, and that's kind of how I justified it to myself, to be able to pick it up. But they're so robust, and they're so like you said, the build quality, everything's so tough. Like I'm not afraid to bang it around, and it's all mechanical. There's no battery. There's nothing like that can go wrong, really. And if it breaks, it's easy to fix. So I just like it because it's so reliable. It's such a workhorse. And I just know it's going to, the job it's going to do for me every time.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I got to try one. I think that's what it is. It's like, when I was talking to him about it, I was like, you don't need that. The price isn't worth it. But then like, literally everyone's like, it is worth it. You got to put your hands on one. You got to see it in person. I need to see one.
Yeah, honestly, I think the thing is, like, I was kind of reluctant to. I was always, especially when I first started shooting, and I was shooting like digital cameras, and I was like, oh, why'd you ever spend money on a Leica? Whatever. The minute I've gotten one, like, to be honest, I kind of bought the Yashica because I found it at a thrift store for a whim. But like I said, 95% of what I do is on that Leica, and I don't really reach for anything else. Like it's like the ultimate like tool for photography, I think. At least for me, and like what I like to capture. It has its limitations and other things. Like it's definitely not the strongest portrait camera. There are things that, if you like to shoot certain subject matter, it's not going to be the best for it. But for what I do, for what I like, it's the camera for me.
Why do you say it's not a good portrait camera? Is that like the focusing or the composition style?
I actually think compositionally, I like portraits on it because you really see the frame. It is limited, like rangefinders in general. Just I think like close focusing is really difficult on rangefinders. So you have to portraits would have to be more like full body stuff. They don't really. It's not really great for like close up headshot stuff. I would say portraits is not my forte at all. It's definitely like probably what I'm least comfortable with in photography. So maybe it's just me, talking about my own limitations and putting that on the camera. But that's what I've found with it, at least. Yeah,
for sure. That's super interesting. That you're doing a lot of processing out there, thinking about like, what you're good at and what you're not. I mean, that's interesting. That's cool. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like, I would love to say like I can shoot anything. But I think that, over, my journey, doing film photography, especially, I've kind of started to, slide into a lane of like, hey, these are the things I can do well. And that doesn't mean I'm never going to do the things that I can't do well. It's like a challenge to try to continue and get better and do different things as a photographer. But, right now it's more about trying to like really hone in on what I do well. And I don't know, it's weird saying try to develop a style, but I feel like that is kind of what it is, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you gravitating to nowadays? Like I'm seeing a lot of sort of like beach, a lot of sort of nature stuff? Like, what are you gravitating more now to?
Yeah, I definitely, I do love nature. I think a lot of my recent work has been beach, just given the fact that this summer I've, been lucky to travel to a lot of awesome places, and capture those areas. It's hard, but I think really what I chase is like color, more than anything. Like I love color, and like the story that color can tell, by itself or in the context of like kind of a plain image. I love Wes Anderson movies. And so like that was like, one of the things that inspired me to like, pick up a camera is I just love, the way he frames images and how the color in all of his movies tell stories. And so like, I really love that about photography. I've loved that about art, since I was growing up. My family always had a love of like Leroy Neiman paintings. I don't know if you've heard of Leroy Neiman. Yeah. He's like, he does a lot of like really interesting, like different series, but the common theme is it's all these like big bright splotches of color that create these kind of like, these incredible, images, whether it be, portraits of people or, nature. And it's always kind of rooted in color.
I think that's really interesting to be thinking about like Wes Anderson and those pops of color in your work. Yeah. And it's obvious that you can see that. The pops of color you've been getting recently are these like amazing sunsets and florals and on beach scenes. But when you go back, like I saw these pops of color on the little pedal boats that you had going like that. That was such an awesome find. But I absolutely love that. And I can see that in your work. Well, let's talk about one of your shots here, and one that like literally just, what was this, yesterday? No, 5 days ago. It's the beach scene, this incredible light that you got going on coming out of there. Tell me about this one. Where was this at?
Yeah, so that was up in Pacific City in Oregon. So it's a town just off the coast of Oregon, or on like right on the coast of Oregon, about an hour and a half west of Portland. And it was just kind of up on this bluff. There are these huge, big, giant sand dunes there, and the way the sun was setting, just kind of around, the dunes and off the sand was creating this like super interesting light. From that trip, I actually have a bunch of different photos from like angles, maybe on the beach below or like up in the dunes, kind of on the cliffs that are on the backside of the dunes. And what's really fascinating to me is like every night, there were different colors based on like the angle. So it's like, one night it was kind of like a more orangey sunset, but then when I was on the backside of the dune, once the sun had set behind it, everything was really pink. I thought that was really, really cool. So it was cool to see how like the same area, multiple different days based on kind of how, the sun was interacting with, the water and the dunes and, depending on the different elements that, kind of were in front of me or how much the sun was, up or down, it was just creating these different color palettes and was really, really cool. And I was fortunate enough to kind of be there and capture it.
That's awesome. What has you traveling around so much?
Just, it's coronavirus and, and, kind of trying to get outside and do something during the summer. Being able to work from home, kind of has its advantages, in that sense. And, being able to go and kind of work on the road and see a bunch of different things. Oregon coast was someplace I've like wanted to, I hadn't seen, and, I'd seen pictures and, a lot of people would tell me you got to go, and, it's right up, the alley of kind of the nature that I like. So, one of the things that, I was lucky enough to get up and go see this summer.
Yeah, dude, the Oregon coast is amazing. Like, we were just up there for a wedding and it was stunning. Absolutely amazing up there.
Yeah, it's crazy like that. It's just really cool that kind of long stretch of like kind of preserved area is still there and intact. And you get so much variety from like cliffs and dunes and coastal forests. And it's all you could ever want in like especially in a photographer world.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's a photographer's dreamland. I mean, the huge, I love the huge rock structures out in the water and just how stuff reacted to that, like trees growing on top of that. Oh my gosh, it was just so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, and then discovering we were in Brookings, and that was just an amazing little town. It was just cool. It was quaint. Good food and all that. It was awesome.
Yeah, the people up there were really nice, and everything about it was just like so lovely. Like I would just love to go back there. I love
Yeah.
beaches, but I also, being from Northern California, I kind of love sweatshirt beaches where like you're wearing shorts and then like a lightweight sweatshirt, the wind's blowing a little bit. I don't know. It feels more like less tropical, more kind of like rugged, like, like being out in nature, fires on the beach, that kind of stuff. It's very adventurous, and I love that about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Do you go camping a lot? Like, what do you like to do? Or do you like just travel to a hotel or camp it up, or what do you do?
Yeah, it depends. I do like to camp. Obviously the wildfires has been tough last couple months. But there's some great spots in Northern California. I'm kind of, I'm of two minds. I do love to go to places and like stay in like hotels and experience that. But camping is also like a completely different thing. And there's nothing better, for me than like going out and just like unwinding and getting away from cell service for a little while.
Well, I got to ask, what's some of your favorite film stock?
Yeah, that's ever changing. I mean, I think like obviously Portra is like a staple for everybody. Especially like when you shoot color, Portra is great. I find like lately, I think the number one film stock I've been gravitating towards a lot is Lomo 800. I really do. I usually like to overexpose things by like a stop or two. And so having that 800, as a baseline, it's pretty easy to overexpose it. And, I'm sure as you can see in a lot of my work, I really do I gravitate less towards like yellows and more towards like pinks and like oranges, like things that have more of a pink cast. And for some reason, I think Lomo just really captures that really well. I know, there's a lot of people that say it's kind of like really similar to Kodak, but it's just, there's just a slight difference in the way that it captures, kind of like the yellows and the pinks and the oranges, different than Portra, which I really, really like.
That's super interesting. I've been dying to try it out. I was talking with some other guys about it, but I ordered some and I haven't gotten it yet, but for 110, I've got some like little 110 cameras that I've been dying to use.
Nice.
But they were supposed to get it in last month, but then I just checked the dates and now it's December. So.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. It's so popular right now. I luckily stocked up on a bunch of it, like kind of early before the summer. And so like, I'm like hanging on for dear life. But other than that, I also really I like shooting Fuji. It kind of depends on what I'm shooting. I really love Fuji Pro 400 for daytime stuff. That overexposed in the daytime is like so good. It's just it does a really nice job with soft light, from in harsh conditions, right? It's noon and it's sunny and there's not a cloud in the sky. That will be my go-to for that. So I like to travel with, a bunch of different things. I got a backpack that's got just a huge plastic bag full of all the film that I use. And I just kind of reach my hand in there and I'm like, oh, what is that? I've been experimenting with Cinestill a little bit. I haven't gotten too much into night photography. I run and gun a little bit too much, and, shooting handheld at night is not always the best, but that's something I really do want to get into as well. But like you said, it's so hard to find.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that goes out of stock all the time. I bought a roll when it finally came in stock, and I have it for the time I want to start experimenting with night photography, but I don't know when that will be. all the neons are off.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's like what you have to do as soon as you get Cinestill. You're like, all right, I got my tripod. Let's go find a gas station or like a neon sign.
Yeah.
And let's get some halations going. Like that's what I need. What do you shoot with? What's your film stock of choice?
My film stock right now is just Portra 400. I just know what it does. I know how it reacts. Yeah. That's if I'm gonna I've got to shoot. Let's go. I'm gonna grab that. But I'm experimenting right now with Kodak Vision film, like the cinema film, and so I just shot a roll of 50D. I've got 250D and 500T. So I'm going to try those pretty soon here too. I'm experimenting with those because I want to start rolling my own. I've saved a bunch of backs, film paper backing for 120. And my idea is if I like this film, which I hope I do, but maybe I won't though. I'm going to buy like a big roll of IMAX film and roll my own.
That'll be so cool.
It would be cool. It'll save a lot of money in the long run, but you still got to buy a roll of IMAX film in the front end.
Yeah, definitely. I see. I wish I trusted myself enough to do that, but I don't trust myself to develop my own film. Like I just am so worried I'm going to mess it up. Like I don't trust myself with that whole process. I think I will, like, something's going to happen. Like I have too much ADD. Like I'll like put the film in the bath and I'll walk away, and something will go wrong. So I leave that to the professionals.
I definitely feel like I'm going to mess up one of these days, but I feel like I haven't ever messed up. It's pretty forgiving in the terms of, I mean, it's kind of like where film is forgiving with overexposing. It's kind of forgiving also in the developing, where you can overexpose it. You can let the chemicals sit in there a little bit longer and you're fine. It's actually not but I think the only thing is like the water temperature should be the right amount. But then some of the chemicals are saying like, you just extend the time out a little bit more if it's not as hot as it needs to be. So I don't know. It seems like a pretty forgiving thing. I haven't really jacked up anything too bad. I think the only thing I would have jacked up is like the scanning and making it look exactly how it should look. But
but that's all subjective too, really. Like, scanning and getting it back, and you're trying to create an image of like, oh, okay, this is what I think it should look like.
Yeah.
And that'll happen. I'll get scans back from the lab if I don't scan it myself, and I'll be like, that's not quite how I remember it. And then I'll have to go and color correct it. So that's the cool part about it's all completely subjective, like from a color grading standpoint.
And we're all just out here having fun. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, I mean, one of the big things, like I talk about with a lot of the guys on this show, is this community that's formed. Like you can just ask anyone about any camera, and like they either know someone who uses it, or like they know how to fix it themselves, or something about the developing process. It's just so cool to get help from like anyone and just reach out.
Yeah, it is really cool. Everyone seems to be like, so, like you said, nice and helpful and like willing to help. I think because like you look, and like at one point, like we were all beginners, and we all kind of had that moment where you're like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So, YouTube videos help, and, and reaching out to people helps. And I think all that is awesome in your journey to just kind of finding, what you really want to say with your camera, and like how you're going to go about it. I think the best part about especially film is there's so many steps to the process. You don't have to, follow one exact method that somebody does. You can kind of create an amalgamation of things. Like I don't like to really develop myself, so trying to find the right lab was really important for me, and experimenting with different things, and kind of trying to, figure it all out is one of the things that's great about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I absolutely love that about it as well. Yeah. Well, dude, you're awesome. I super appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have any tips and tricks you want to share with anyone before we get going?
Tips and tricks. Let's see. Like just in regards to shooting?
To film shooting, or anything any knowledge you want to bear upon the audience?
Yeah. I think the one thing that, like, obviously we talked a little bit about color, and like, that's kind of what I focus on. Know your color wheel. That's something that, like,
that's good.
If you really know your color wheel and understand how colors work together, it'll just change the way you see scenes. You're just walking out and about, and, you'll see complementary colors, or, contrasting colors, and, or analogous colors. And you'll be like, oh, that would be a great shot. Like, and even if maybe, when you first look, you don't see the composition, you like, I know the colors there, so I'm going to find a way to make a composition work. And then I think the other thing too is obviously, like, composition is king above all. You can have great colors, but if the composition is imbalanced, if it doesn't work, the overall image, I think, will end up not being exactly what you want. And that took me a long time to figure out, and you just figure out how you want to be composing images. So like I said, it's all subjective, but just learning that stuff, taking the time to go back and like learn those fundamentals of like, basic composition and knowing the color wheel really helped me. So hopefully it can help other people as well.
For sure. Dude, that's a great word on how to, get that composition, get that color. That's awesome. That's super helpful. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on the show today. But you rock, man. And thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, anytime. Really, excited. Anybody that has any questions, wants to get into film photography, or hey, if you're in the Bay Area, you just want to go shoot, hit me up on Instagram. I'm always happy to do anything.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'll link everything below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you around. All right.
Yeah. See you, man.
See ya. Guys, thank you so much for watching that interview with Jed. He is an awesome photographer, and I absolutely loved getting to know him. And that's what Film Friend Fridays is all about, is reaching out to these different film photographers and getting to know them and just like experiencing the world of film and appreciating that together. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you did, like and subscribe, all the things. Go find me on Instagram, go find Jed on Instagram, and support your fellow film photographers out there. I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.